Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Manuel Taverne, head of IR of EPH Group, a newly listed company in the German stock market. The company has its origins in Vienna, was founded in Vienna as an Austrian company and listed as also the bonds are listed in Germany at the Stuttgart Stock Exchange. We decided also to list the shares in Stuttgart, and we're now listed for almost 2 weeks. The listing is also, as will come later, also to explain it more in detail, a fundamental requirement for our equity story. What you see here of 8 illustrations of 6 projects. EPH Group is a developer of leisure or tourism properties or hotels in the high value segment in especially Austria and Germany. And also to address it at the beginning, we are only the developer of those projects or those hotels. We are not the entity who is finally also building or operating those hotels. So we sell a fully developed package to an investor who is also responsible for building the facility, building the hotel, and also running finally the operations of that building. To give you in a nutshell also what we are doing, why we are doing so, and what is the background. The business model is to develop of hotel real estate projects in the leisure market. We're not in a downtown business segment like Munich or Vienna. So we are focusing on leisure areas like in Austria, we have a project in Kitzbühel, in Tyrol, on different lake sites also. So our focus is on leisure hotels or even cities with high tourist appeal, but not a business hotel, and not in the lower segment, but in the higher luxury segment. So we talk about develop a project with in the category 4-star, 4-star superior, or even higher. What we do is we acquire land from owners in mentioned selected destinations. We have our own criteria, what the property, what the land must fulfill finally. And we do, and this is our business case, we do all the approvals, we do all the design, the architecture, and we also see ourselves responsible to sign or at least to have an LOI with an operator. And here also we have some partners like a Marriott Group or like a Hyatt Group and so on, who we are engaged with and convince them to invest or also to sign a partner agreement to run the hotel finally. This means conclusion of operating agreements as written here, management, lease or hybrid account agreements, franchise agreements, and sell the fully approved and ready to build project to an operator or to an investor. What are the benefits of our business model to avoid a high capital intensity? We have no execution risk of building the property. It's also a time factor. We are estimating as a new company that we have a project duration of less than 2 years. With the low investment approach, we also are in the possibility and in the position to develop not only one project at the time being, but also to develop more than one. So currently we have 6 projects in our pipeline, and this gives us also a chance to show in future, latest in course of next year, also as written here, a rapid growth or and scaling up of our business model once the first project is sold to an investor. I mentioned also our criteria. You see here our map of what we expect, what we want, what we need, and in which segments we are currently active. As mentioned at the beginning, we are currently active mainly in Austria, in the Austrian leisure market. but also we are not ruling out to also to acquire projects in Germany or even Switzerland. We're currently in discussions with a few projects in Germany, in Bavaria. We are focusing on the leisure market, on leisure hotels, cities with high tourist appeal, and again, premium upscale luxury, so at least four-star superior or higher, 5-star or even 6-star. We are not thinking small. We talk about also hotels with at least a capacity of 200 beds, also sleeping facilities. We do different deal structures, asset deals, shared deals, or joint ventures. And those who are currently already following the company and who are aware of the listing, last week, on Wednesday, we had a press release or an ad hoc release that we signed an agreement with a landowner to acquire 3 facilities as a package from a former owner. And what is the unique business model, also the equity story is, we are not paying the purchase price in cash. So what we are selling is we acquire and use our own shares as a currency. So with the contribution in kind will also foster our equities position in the balance sheet, but also we give the seller of the property also the chance to have a different risk profile, because he's not investing finally in his own project, but he's investing now into the entire portfolio of each EPH group finally, and he's also contributing and benefiting from the success of all projects. So the first 3 projects, as mentioned again, we acquired last week, not with a cash payment, but with a contribution in kind, and we will pay the owner or the former owner with shares of EPH Group, and we fixed a purchase price per share of 92.50 euros already, and the current share price is by about 83 euros currently. Yeah, I talked about the contract. I talked also about our risk profile, and for sure, what we also are considering when we develop those projects, also a certain ESG roadmap as ESG criteria, because we know that is an important criteria also for investors, also share investors who invest into the company, that we also have our own ESG agenda. Yeah, as we are now a capital market listed company, we have also a capital market orientated financing strategy. We have bonds, or even actually one bond issued, a bond issued in 2025 with a yield of 10% paid monthly. It's a bond from 25 for 7 years until 2032, 32. Currently signed by 10 million. The total volume is 50 million. As our business model is named Land for Equity, you will find also a certain white paper on the group website. Our aim is to buy properties, to buy land, not buy in cash, to pay the seller in cash, but to pay the seller with a significant share also in shares of EPH Group, also to have our own cash balance, keep it low. And for sure, bank financing to run the project business is for sure an important pillar of our financing strategy. I mentioned the listing. EPH Group is listed since about 2 weeks at the Stuttgart Stock Exchange. The first price quoted was 78 euros. Today we are about 83 euros. The capital increase for acquiring those 3 properties was for 92.50. This corresponds to an enterprise value at a market cap of close to 100 million for the entire group. You see also the share price. When we talk about our partners, who are the selected operators? So here also we are thinking really in the high-end, high-class luxury segment. When we talk developing a project, we approach those 8 here named operating groups like Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott Group, Accor Group, the Steigenberger Hotels, IHG Hotels and Resorts, Kempinski, and also it's an Austrian company, an Austrian group, the Falkensteiner family, the Falkensteiner Hotels. These are our preferred partners, and what I can say today is for our Kitzbühel project in Oberndorf, we won more or less a Hyatt as the operator, and where we signed already an LOI also for future development and operation of the hotel. Also, what makes us unique is that we also do our daily business when we talk about project developments. We have here a very small group of established partners in the European or in the German-speaking hotel landscape. So Michael and Partner is behind is behind the Falkensteiner family. MOB Hotels, KPMG, for sure, for each project we bring into the company, we need evaluation. Here is KPMG the partner. We talk with Christie's and Christie & Co., very established name in the European hotel industry. Architecture from Munich, LSH architect, and Haring Group also from the development side. So this makes us the project duration even faster because we work with all those partners on all those different projects. And before we go into a Q&A session, I will also showcase you some of our projects. You already know those pictures from the beginning of my presentation. You see here some illustrations of the project in Oberndorf in Tyrol. This is a hotel, a rendering of a hotel building, including also apartments with more than 200 rooms or beds. Also here some renderings. Hochrendel in Carinthia or Kärnten for the German audience. Also here some renderings of how it could look like finally, and what is also used on our marketing papers. Another project in a very remote area, but very popular in Austria, because Heiligenblut is at the end of the Großglockner Hochalpenstraße. So if you go in the summer or even winter season, either for skiing or for visiting the Großglockner mountain, you will either start at Heiligenblut or your trip will end at Heiligenblut. Also here we acquire land, or we signed an LOI for land. And here also a rendering from how it could look like finally. Also in Lower Austria or Niederösterreich, we also are active in golf resorts. Also here some bungalows or tiny houses we established. And this is unique because this is not a fully developed hotel, but here we talk about tiny houses which you can more or less also easily remove and finally also easily build in a certain location at the resort. So here's some illustrations. Gerlitzen, Kärnten, Carinthia again, another example. Also here, high top of the mountains with a perfect lake view. Windischgarsten, Oberösterreich, Upper Austria. Also here, a golf resort with connection to also the ski resorts in close to Windischgarsten. It's Hinterstoder. Also here, the scenery. So again, what you see was mentioned before. We are in the most popular Austrian tourism regions currently active. Here, the ski resort Kitzbühel with a rendering of a new hotel that we currently have under development. And finally, also Lutzmannsburg is a thermal region of Austria, where we talk about a fully developed resort project with a perfect scenery in between the wineries of Burgenland, which are also quite famous. And yeah, this is what we do. We are currently at the beginning of our road and our roadmap. But I think it's a quite interesting also equity story because we link not only the seller of the facilities and properties to our group. It might be also interesting for any new investor or even shareholder. So I'm happy now to answer questions. Thank you for joining and listening.